welcome Adan K. Pope.
Thank you for that warm welcome, and thank you to Illinois Tech and TEDx for this platform to spend some time with you today to talk about what I think is an important topic. In my travels, and I meet a lot of people in what I do, when they hear that I'm a chief technology officer, the topic of artificial intelligence always comes up. It's in our conversation today. But it's a topic that's very uncomfortable. And people's minds seem to start wandering to the videos that they've binged on YouTube or the media that they've consumed. Maybe they're unanswered questions that they have based on this topic. What does it mean to me? What's life going to look like once AI is fully entrenched into my business? And I just imagine that dialogue going on, and I see people wince. And I myself at times have a degree of tension that rises up in my body. So that's what I want to talk about today. That's what I want to address. Is what are these tensions and where do they come from? And how might we, and I think that's an important question to frame, how might we intentionally manage these tensions so that we can create a better future for us all? AI is here, it's real. The topic of conversation at this conference automatically went to AI. Previous speaker spoke about AI. It's in our world right now. So the time is now to think about this. In preparation for this TED Talk, I used an AI image generation tool to create this slide. And my prompt was, give me an image that's inspired by someone speaking at a TEDx talk about AI. And this is what I got. And first of all, you'll see a word that's on there that's not a word, revotion. It's hard to say, honestly. And you see a picture of a face that's a little ominous and a little scary, and it's bigger than me, and I'm the little guy in the front. What is revotion? What does that mean? Is it asking me to speak about my devotion to AI? I have no devotion to any technology. Or a revolution? I don't want to talk about a revolution. So my point is, and by the way, that's just one example, and lots of great images have been generated other than this one. I chose this one, okay, to make a point. But is this the technology that we want to trust and adopt to manage our critical communications during a time of 911, for example? Or related to patient care, when real outcomes and consequential outcomes are in the making? Starting to feel the tensions rise. I gave myself a little chill when I said that in my rehearsals as well. So, tension comes from change, and this is a big change. This is a massive change. And it affects us. We see it everywhere. If you want to know what change feels like, and I'm sure we all do feel that every day, take your smartwatch and put it on the other wrist and wear it for the day. I took mine off because it was annoying me. But nonetheless, it feels terrible. It feels like something's wrong. And that's what AI feels like at this point. Why? Because the word artificial, meaning not of us, and intelligence, the thing that we as a species pride ourselves on, is being unique in our capabilities. We're intelligent. Most technology is easy to adopt. If a technology is complicated enough, you'll run into a person like me or my team, and we'll help you adopt the technology, like a new system at work. You won't have to go through that journey yourself. But if you want to order food, you can go to DoorDash. They've got a wonderful app. They bring food to you. It's not good for your waste, but you can eat whatever you want. If you want to sell books, as I've done, Amazon gives you a marketplace. It gives you a way to publish the book. It gives you a way to receive royalties for the book. It's transparent. The process for resolving problems is easy. It's not that it's tension-free, but it's understandable. It's derivative on an experience that we already have. We've all gone to the bookstore. We know what that's like. We've all written a book. Well, not all, but many of us have written a book. But AI is a big change. It feels different. And so as a result, it's a bit scary, and the tensions are everywhere. So let's look at the sources of where tension are coming from and how to relieve them, both positive and negative. As a technologist, AI enables me to solve the insolvable problems. It gives me a set of tools that I couldn't have dreamt of when I had my TRS-80. It's amazing. It gives us this ability to use analytical tools and technologies in a way that I never envisioned, and I don't think many of us did, with mass data sets. And it allows us to be efficient in a way that we've never been able to be efficient before. Truly, it expands the art of the possible for the type of problems we can solve. And as an innovator myself, that's exciting. It allows us to upskill ourselves, to take on new skills without having to read massive books and tomes about it. And I've been a recipient of that value myself. I've learned so much so quickly to be able to apply to my work. But from a public point of view, it creates fear. Fear of the unknown, uncertainty, the fear of bias, because people have biases. And the data that trains AI is based on experiences of people. People are afraid of job loss. They're afraid of many aspects of AI because of the unknown. Amnesty International predicts that AI has the strong potential of creating more inequity in the world in the short term, citing things like predictive policing, policies, and gating access to healthcare. We clearly don't want a future like that. IBM has noted that AI can hallucinate, like the picture that I showed before, with the objective of producing an answer versus the right answer. There are legal concerns, there are copyright concerns, liability concerns, regulatory concerns, all stemming from this area. So that creates this fear. So my question is, how do we balance all of these fears with all of these great opportunities? Because AI is an amazing thing. It enables us to do all those things. So that's the challenge. I would argue that in order to undertake an analysis like that, we need a way to visualize it. We need to be able to put it in a form that we can understand it. We need to map it out. A colleague and I created this simple form. This is a small diagram called tension mapping. The idea is to allow you to visualize the tensions in your organization or in topics as you're trying to solve a problem, so that you can remove the impedance, remove the negative tensions, and you can amplify the positive outcome. So you're looking for those sources of value creation, but you're not looking to eliminate all tension, because if you've ever worked in a team that doesn't have tension to get something done, nothing gets done. So how? Well, why don't we assume for a moment that I'm the Chief Technology Officer for a public safety technology company focused on emergency services 911. Until about a few months ago, that was me, okay? I've changed jobs, but that was me. Public service 911 is an extremely stressful job, and it's consequential. Imagine rooms full of people with headsets on for 12 hours a day in the dark, taking phone calls one after the other from highly concerned citizens, maybe experiencing the worst day of their life, and the operator having a technology in front of them that tries to collect information and makes a dispatch in the quickest time possible to create a positive at least some sort of positive outcome for that person. Well, I want to bring AI into that because I want to make it better for the operator. I want to make it better for the citizen. I want to try to relieve the stresses that those people have. So I have this experiment. I want to bring AI into the public service 911 space. So I go to my engineering team and I say, I want to do that. And they say, great. And they learn large language models and they study statistics and they get bedrock and they start putting tools in place. But the first thing they do is they look at the product management organization because of human nature and they say, well, they don't understand. Will they have enough governance in place to prevent bias? Will my invention actually do harm versus do well, do good? And of course, the product management team will look at sales and they'll kind of cross their eyes and squint and they'll say, hey, sales is just trying to make money and retire their quota, so will they actually sell this as a potential game changer for public safety or just as a way to make money? And of course, poor operations are going to receive phone calls from these agencies and they're going to say, hey, why did your AI algorithm recommend this versus that? And we certainly don't want them to say, well, it's a converged, convolutional network and as a result, we don't know. We don't want that, right? So just an example of that. So Why go through this process? If you've ever worked in a company of any time in operation or scale, companies develop ways of working and cultures, and they have shared painful experiences. And opening up this topic will be one of them. We're going to remember the last time that project didn't go very well, and we're going to remember the time when the outcome wasn't what we expected. Well, we're willing to do this because of one brutal truth, and that is everything that we do in our lives and in the world is based on trust. And we need to develop trust in not just each other, but also in the technologies we're going to use to solve these advanced problems, which kind of gets me to trust there. Trust in authority? No, no more. I think the pandemic taught us a lot of unexpected lessons in that area. Trust in a brand? No. Next time you go to buy a car, will you go to the car manufacturer's brand and read everything that's on there, believe it 100%, and then on the basis of that go and then pay sticker price? No, you won't do that. You'll go to YouTube, you'll search incessantly for information, you'll start up a Facebook friend conversation and Twitter, and you'll probably even talk to the person at the gas station beside you who might have the same car and say, how is it? Because you'll trust a total stranger more than you'll trust a brand. So trust is earned. And we have to earn trust by understanding one another. 2 years prior to this AI experiment, we introduced cloud to public safety, and that's late. Cloud's been a thing for how long? The public safety market was very concerned about cloud. They'd heard enough about unreliable service, they'd heard enough about outages and downtime that they had learned not to trust it. But we needed to use it. We absolutely had to use this technology to serve them better, and so we built trust. We met with them, empathized with them, did proof of concept, wrote white papers, engaged, and built trust. The adoption of AI won't be like that, because cloud is just, sorry to say, someone else's data center with some fancy tools. AI is something fundamentally different, and it's personal. So in order to build this trust in public safety, we have to expand our map for tension mapping to really all participants, and it's much broader than just the inter-organizational tensions I mentioned before. We have to look at the solution providers like myself and the municipalities who buy this, the agents, the citizenry, so that they can trust. We also have to look at how they'll work together and create a shared vision. And for once, now we have to look at how machines or algorithms interact with people and be able to trust the outcomes there as well. In my startup days, which were long ago, we would develop a technology and we would look for uses for it. Sometimes we were successful and most of the times we were not. We would have the hammer of innovation and we're looking for nails. We'd go try to solve problems. That doesn't work here. We need to focus on outside-in thinking. We need to really understand those people and those parties in this map and how this technology will enable them, will cause them having tensions, how we can control this technology to create good outcomes, avoiding the negative downsides. I'll give you some examples. In outside-in thinking, we're looking for inefficiencies, we're looking for the real problem. In order to do that, we have to sit in the seat with the 911 operators. We have to understand them. I've gone to 100 911 centers myself, and I can tell you it's an emotionally traumatic experience just to go there for an hour versus to spend 12 hours a day in the dark. We have to have empathy with those people, and we have to have empathy with the people that are making the phone calls. For example, today you can actually FaceTime 911. It's a traumatic experience for the operator when you do that, but it's possible. You can text 911, you can call 911, you can have your alarm service call 911. Anyway, it's a traumatic experience. Will the operator who has this mandate to save your life as fast as possible, or at least get someone there to try, trust that the algorithm will blur the disturbing part, but not misclassify the baby's car seat in an upside down car on fire on the side of the road? That's a pretty big leap of trust. The public wants to hear a human on the line. If you call 911 and you hear a chatbot or something that sounds not human, do you want to talk to it, or are you going to scream at it until you get to a real person? Probably the latter. Does AI have enough empathy to recognize that if a woman calls 911 and orders a pizza, she didn't misdial. She's probably experiencing domestic abuse. I just made myself very tense right there. And they're looking for it to cry for help, versus the system just hanging up and saying it must have been a misdial. Anyway, trust is super important here, and we need to make sure that we build systems that are trustworthy, but there are real benefits. I would argue that this is testing the limits of our trust for AI. That's why I chose to speak about Emergency Services 911, because it's consequential. There's real value to be had if we manage these tensions. We can triage calls. We can create better location services. We can make recommendations that are accurate and viable. We can help. But we have to rely on the one thing that we uniquely have, our purely human, enigmatic brain. We cannot outsource the thinking associated with this. We cannot outsource empathy. I don't believe we can train empathy. I think empathy is a truly unique characteristic because we have a shared experience as humans. We want to talk to someone who cares that you will have a good outcome and that feels the pain that you may be feeling, to get people there to help you as fast as possible. Tension mapping is really only about creating mind share for people to people, organizations, the broader community, and now machines to people, with this approach and hope to create trust. Whereas AI may live in a highly dimensionalized space where image recognition is on a pixel by pixel basis and classification algorithms are iterative, and most people don't know what that means, they would do that to classify the image of a bird as a bird. Whereas you look at a bird and you say, oh, what a beautiful bird. You have an emotional response. You see it as a bird. That's not human thought. So I would argue that the one human characteristic that's made us successful forever is adaptation. We have to continue to adapt in this new world where now we have this new tool. It's out. It's there. We have to be brave enough to push regulatory and push controls onto it, and we have to be wise enough to know when to use it and when not. So, gaining trust is hard. My call to action is you all do the work. You may have to go to the whiteboard and map out all the tensions in your organization, draw the picture, figure out where the value is, use your best judgment, use your best view of risk assessment, use your empathy, use your intuition. These are all things that we cannot classify and create in AI algorithms. You need to lead. Otherwise, surrender to the rev ocean. Thank you.